and then I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the PowerPoint up first. Oh, wait, before I do that, yeah, let me do this part first though. Let me stop sharing real quick. I want to put in the chat box, I'm going to put the PDF of our schedule. Please, somebody let me know if you can access that. I might not be. I see the format that it's in. Okay.
No.
Okay, I'm going to have to revamp it and reshare it. And I will do that actually in part while maybe while Mia is speaking. I can do that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again though. Screen share. All right, here we go. We're going to kick it off. This is the Rowdy Rising Roundup. So last semester, we tried to really spend some time laying the groundwork of sort of what this organization was going to be about, making sure that we had the proper paperwork with the national organization in place, making sure that we had the proper paperwork with the university. So when we start an organization on campus, it's quite a big deal. It's kind of, there's a lot of hurdles to get through. And in this case, this is a national organization. And so we spent a lot of time last semester really laying the groundwork for what Rowdy Rising is. It is the McNeese chapter of Educators Rising, which is a national organization for pre-service teachers. It is for educators. The whole point of it is to look, I'm sorry, but if it looks like I'm fighting something, look, she sees me talking to y'all and she's so jealous. She keeps like plopping, it's my dog. So Educators Rising is the national organization and Rowdy Rising is our McNeese chapter. We elevate the profession essentially through 4 pillars. So we have our service. So this is community service and campus outreach. We have professional development. And so we want to really focus on making sure that we are not only getting great content in our coursework, but that we personally are striving for excellence to become great educators. We are an advocacy group. So we're very interested in educational policy. We're very interested in policies that affect children and their access to quality education. And so that's something that we really want to be aggressive about, making sure that we are involved in that process. And we are also about leadership. And so this organization itself gives you an opportunity to lead, not only in your profession, but within your communities. And that's what we're really looking forward to. So we had some really great engagement last semester. We kind of warmed up to see what the interest was. The interest was great, actually. And so we want to get the ball rolling. We want to go ahead and start. I'm going to let Mia, if you don't mind, I'm going to kick it to you. And Mia is going to pick up and just tell us a little bit about some of our upcoming events and things we have planned. Stay tuned, because at the end of the meeting, it's going to be how to join if it's something that you're interested in doing and joining. And of course, this is going to be recorded and it's going to be shared as well. So if you have to get off for any reason, you will have that opportunity. One thing before you get going though, for those of you who do have to leave, I think that most of you are already on this. I'm sorry, it's going to be this one. I think that most of you are on the group me. It is going to be right here is the QR code. And also this is the join code. So even if you just want to take a screenshot of it really quickly with your phone, or if you want to try to scan it, I'll leave it up just a minute, because I know a few of you do have to leave early. And that way, if you join the group me, you will be able to have access to all of this information. So I'll leave it up just a few minutes for anybody who might need to get it, and then I'm going to go back up. Good. Okay. I think I'm seeing who is already on it. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead back up to the top and we'll go to January. There you go, Mia.
All right, so my name is Mia. If you don't know me, I'm on the Leadership Council for Rowdy Rising. I'm very excited everybody got here today. So in this month, we had our leadership planning meeting, which was towards the beginning of the semester, which is where we went through our calendar, talked about things we wanted to do and stuff like that. Today is the Roundup. And we do have our calendar now for the semester with all of our important dates, but we'll also talk about those in the next couple of slides. And it'll be in the chat, it'll be on Instagram, anywhere you are, that's where the calendar will be. So now we're moving into February as we're finishing out this month. We'll have our meeting on the 3rd from 5 to 6. Again, it'll be on Zoom. And that is our deadline to join Rowdy Rising for this semester. And it's also the deadline to register for the state conference at the University of Lafayette, University of Louisiana in Lafayette. That is on, that conference is in March, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then there is also a national conference that will be coming up this summer in June. I don't have personally all the details, but I know Ms. Benoit knows a little bit more about that. Also in February, we have the Prepare for Unlock Education Conference here at McNeese. That is for high school students that are involved in Educators Rising. So they come here, they learn more about it, they learn what it means to be an educator. They'll have all kinds of events, and we will be running, what was the game again? I keep forgetting the name of it.
So you guys are going to do a breakout room. There are 4 of you have already been kind of training and working on that, but we really need all hands on deck for that day. So please put it in your calendar. If you plan to join Educators Rising, this is a very exciting event for us. This is the largest coalition of high school students that we have ever had part of the conference. I just checked the registration before I got on, and we have 116 students from around our 5 parish region coming. And approximately half of those students are in Educators Rising courses, which means that they are very serious about becoming teachers. So those of you who are already, you've been in the trenches, you've been in our coursework, you know what a critical difference this could make for our teacher shortage. And I mean, I know you remember what it was like to be a high school student. It's just so cool when a college student can connect with you and take an interest in you, and you guys can do more for our program and to build buzz around how neat and cool it is to be an educator in ways that we can't. I mean, y'all are just, you're cool and you're young, and you can kind of tell them what the whole college experience is like in a way that we can't. So there are lots of places for you to get involved with this. We need greeters. We would need people to help. I actually need an assistant with, I'm over the competitions. I need an assistant with that, a couple of people helping. So there are lots of places for you to get involved with the conference. It is, like she mentioned, on the 18th. From 8 to 2 would be your basic hours of service, or any segment of time in there that you could. We're definitely going to need some people early up front to help people with registration and to help people get in. We also are going to need a group at the back end to help clean up. And then at lunchtime would also be a critical area, just to kind of help serve and make sure that students are able to be seen in a timely fashion. So that's very important.
Yes, I was talking to Dr. Simpson about it this morning in class, and we really we just need more hands on deck to help out, because it is a very large conference and it's very exciting to be able to have and to be able to form those connections with the current high schoolers who hopefully will be coming here to McNeese. And so,
Yes.
if you're free, even if it's just for an hour or two, please come by. We could put you wherever we need you, but we'd greatly appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
Later on in February, we will be assembling literacy kits as one of our service projects this semester. And it's basically just like a notebook, some other things so they can really, get into reading and get into like talking about what they're reading. And it'll be like a Dr. Seuss day. I don't know about you guys, but my school used to give us green eggs and ham on Dr. Seuss day. So it's like a really fun day for the students in a way that we can give back to the schools that let us work with them.
Absolutely. So in March, these are some of the things we have coming up in March planned already. The 3rd is going to be our monthly meeting, our Zoom. And on the 11th, that is the state conference. So I wanted to just spend a little bit of time talking about that. This would be a day trip. It would be an excused absence in your courses that day. And we would need to leave. There we go. Sorry. Wait. Sorry, she was tearing something up. Okay. We would need to leave at approximately 6:30, and we would drive over to the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. The reason we would need to leave so early is it starts at 8:30, but the check-in is at 8 o'clock. We would need to find parking, et cetera, et cetera. You know what morning traffic is like. And if you have been in traffic in Lafayette lately, especially around the university, it's terrible, actually. So we would need to leave pretty early, and it ends at 4. So that would put us back at school or back at McNeese around 6 to 7. I would love it if we could carpool. That would be definitely the best way to do that. We've got some options though, and it kind of depends on how many of us are going. So that's kind of information. The actual transport and travel, that information will be forthcoming and is dependent on how many people are interested in going. There is an opportunity for competitions, and there is an opportunity for presentations at this particular conference. A few students have already shown an interest in competitions. And so that is information that if that's something that you're interested in, they have impromptu speaking. There's a creative lecture, which is kind of like a TED Talk. And then there's one called a rising moment speech. And it's a prepared speech that you prepare in advance. And it's about basically like what has inspired you to become a teacher. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'm happy to send you more information about that. And then as far as the literacy kits go, our official Dr. Seuss Day that we usually host at McNeese has actually been canceled this year. Of course, our local schools are very concerned about making sure that their students stay safe, particularly with exposure to COVID. And because of that, they are really not wanting their students to leave the safety of the school because they have their systems down. They have for those students to keep them socially distanced. So we're trying, at this point, that is not a program that I'm in charge of, but we're kind of brainstorming. And what we're thinking is that we could actually go to them. So instead of the students come to us, we could make kits, literacy kits, class kits that we could bring to the schools and maybe even read a book to students. So this would be facilitating elementary schools. Notice that in February, that's when we're supporting our high school students. So our secondary students would be supported in February with the Unlock Conference. And then in March, we're hoping that we could be supporting our lower grade levels. And we're trying to give those of you who are secondary teachers an experience there with the students that you're going to be serving. And then also elementary teachers, though we want you to have an experience with that grade level as well. We're moving into April now. And so I don't remember, I can't remember if it was Maria or Mia who said that you feel kind of comfortable with April.
Yeah, that was me.
Okay, thank
So in April on the 7th, we'll have another monthly meeting. We will also, I believe, be hosting one of the Louisiana Educators Rising Collegiate Sessions. And this one will be on the topic of student mental health and trauma-informed teaching. I highly, highly recommend attending these sessions. You get to talk to, it's a large Q&A with educators who are in the field and know more about these topics and can really just answer any questions you may have. Everyone's talking, it's very collaborative. I love the experience. I've attended two. And again, those are on Zoom. So it's very accessible. I really would love to see people come out to this. And then later in towards the end of April and also towards the end of the semester, we really want to have like a finals fiesta to be like a de-stressor for students, to have games and activities, treats and stuff like that, to really relieve some of this testing anxiety that, just really comes in full force at the end of every semester. We had talked about possibly doing like cornhole or stress balls and stuff like squeezy things. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. And again, that's just something where we go and, kind of have like a table and have a little area set up. So I'm very excited for that.
Also, I don't want to give too much away about this, but I'm kind of so excited about this because I spoke with some friends of mine about it, and we've got some donors in the community who think it's a great idea and want to contribute. And so Kay Pasa was kind of interested in possibly doing like little like chips and dip bags, like giveaways, like little chips and salsa, chips and queso bags, like single serve. The Kona Ice, one of my friends owns a Kona Ice truck, and he was like, oh, that's right up, that's perfect, that's right up. So, we definitely would have to get approval for all of this. This is my first time doing anything like this. McNeese might say, no, this is not really what we have in mind, and they might put a damper on it. But we thought that it would be a really good way to illustrate what we're going to be talking about. So when we talk about students' mental health and when we talk about trauma-informed teaching, one of the things that we're going to talk about are things that we can do to help relieve stress. Finals week, even if your classes are easy, it's stressful because it's just all at once. Everything's compressed. And so we know that there are certain things that we can do to help relieve stress and anxiety. And so that would kind of be like our illustration. So if you think about our whole semester, we would have our elementary students, we would have our secondary students, and then this would be a campus outreach where you're actually reaching out to your own peers. So that's kind of what we envision for that. And then, believe it or not, it's finished because have y'all really looked at the calendar yet? We basically like come back from spring break and we jump into finals. Did y'all see that? So we really don't have, like May, we're finished. Like it's done. So I do want to talk to you about these other opportunities. So Big Brothers and Big Sisters has already reached out to me. If you're not familiar with that, this is a local organization that really does such a great job of reaching some of our high need, high potential students in our area. And they do have a summer job. When I say job, I mean it is a paying job. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they could offer you 40 hours per week, and it's $15 an hour. There is teaching involved. So if you would be teaching in the morning portion. I actually want Miss Ariel Morse is the one who directs it. And she wants to come and do a Zoom with us and tell you more about those opportunities. So for those of you who maybe already have a job, but you're interested in some volunteer experience with this population and you would like to do some volunteering, she also has openings for that as well, where you could go and be like a chaperone on a field trip for them, or you could go and do a couple of hours of like a craft or a game or a project or something like that. So she wants to come and tell us more about that. That's not on our calendar because she and I didn't set a time for a Zoom for that yet. I'm thinking we might squeeze her into one of our monthly meetings, like a 30-minute segment, to where she could tell us about that. We do have honor societies within Educators Rising, an honor society. I shouldn't have made it plural. And that will probably become our dominant honor society for the Burton College of Education. So more information will be coming out about that. Currently, we do have an honor society, but it's not very active. And one of the reasons that it's not active is because the one Pi Lambda Theta is the one that is offered through Educators Rising, and it's just a larger organization. It's more active, and it's just, there's more in it for you. I will tell you a couple of things. To be a member, you must at least be a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken. As an undergrad, you must have a 3.5 GPA, and you must be considered in good standing with your university and your college of record, which will be Burton College of Education, and you must be an education major. So those are some things that you right off the bat, in order to apply, you have to have that going in. But that is available to you. You do not have to have those things in place to be a member of Educators Rising. It's simply something within Educators Rising that just recognizes and honors some of those distinctions. We are very interested in, if you do join Educators Rising, one of the roles that we would love to see you fulfill is become an ambassador to some of our local high schools. So we are growing our programs in the high schools so that we can truly grow our own. We can grow our own teachers. Statistics tell us, we know that approximately it's right at 70% of teachers return to the communities. They serve in the communities that they went to school, or within 20 miles of where they went to school. And so we want to really foster a love for education and a love for teaching in some of our local high schools. And then the national conference, I just want to make it available to you. I want to tell you about it. And if you want to go, I will go. I think I might go whether somebody goes or not, simply because I want to scout it out. It's something that I'm very interested in. So it is June 24th through 27th in Washington, D.C. And I just kind of did like a breakdown the other day of how much airfare, lodging, and registration would be. And that's roughly going to be around $1,000 per person. I said 1,100 just to kind of cover some fees that we might have or incur, just to kind of be safe. For that, the registration fee is $300. And depending on how many people want to go, we could possibly apply for some funding assistance through a grant. So that is something to consider. But the problem is, and this is the quick turnaround, I'm going to go right back up here. We do have a fairly quick turnaround because of registration and because of some of the early bird pricing. In order to make that happen, I would have to have a non-refundable deposit of $400. And the reason why is all of the other expenses would be group expenses that if you decide that you're not going to come, then basically I would be holding the bag for all that money. McNeese would be holding the bag for all that money. And I have to be fiscally responsible and ethical with the small little pot of money I have to work with. I've got to make sure that I'm being ethical with it. And so that's really the only way that I can do it, is that non-refundable deposit. Additionally, I have to know about the state because we've got to register. The 4th is the deadline for our registration for state. And so I have to know by the 3rd. It can't be a situation where you're like, oh, I forgot. I won't be able to, especially because of COVID. They're really enforcing capacity, their capacity, which I understand. So that's kind of some of our hard deadlines that we needed to tell you about. And then I'm going to go right here. And so if you are interested in joining, you need to scan this QR code, or if the QR code doesn't work for you, and those of you who've had me as a teacher, you know that they hate me. QR codes hate me. They do. They hate me. So if you're interested in joining, you can either log on to this URL or you can scan this QR code. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to take you to a Microsoft form where you can put your information in. So at this point, I need to know where everyone stands. I do have some funding to pay for our yearly registration, which is $25, but it depends on how many people want to join. I know for sure that I could cover the $10 for 20 people, but if there are fewer people than that who want to join, I could actually cover more than that. And so that's why I didn't want to make I put the minimum amount that I knew that I could cover with my funding, but I might be able to cover more than that. So I didn't want to immediately say that. Also, because we would be registering as a group, I would prepay the company, which is why you're not actually going straight to the company's website tonight, to the organization's website, because I would prepay for how many of us want to pay. And then I would give you a code. So when it was time for you to actually register, instead of putting in your credit card number, you would put in a special code that had been prepaid for you, kind of like a voucher is what it would be. And so that's why you're not going straight to that website tonight. I basically just need to know who's in for this, who's in for this ride. And again, just a reminder, the deadline is the 3rd, and that doesn't mean that you won't be able to join after that point. It simply means that funding will not be available for you. And that also means that you won't be able to participate in the state conference or the national conference if those are things that you're interested in. And that's not to leave you out of anything. It's simply because I have to be able to plan. I've got to be able to use, some numbers and some commitments to plan. All right. And then the last thing is connecting. I'm just going to leave that up here for a moment. If you have not already, please join our group Me, which there's a QR code here. And then this is our Zoom room. This is the one that we will use for all of our meetings. And just like before, one of us or two of us, or sometimes all of us, we send out the link in advance of the meeting just to kind of give you a reminder about that and let you know about it. So I'm going to be quiet now, and I'm going to actually take any questions. If anybody has any questions at this point, I see something in the chat. It won't let you scan the group me code. Can you put in the group, the URL, Ashlyn? Let me see if I can copy and paste it. Let me see if I can copy and paste it into the chat, which might make it easier for you. Go ahead, Jakara. Can you come off mute and ask your question?
Hello. So it's, how much was it again to be a member? It's 25, right? Or it's 15? Because I was confused. It was like,
well, Jakara, that's actually a great question, and I'm really glad that you're asking it. The yearly membership is $25. However, I have enough funding to cover the $10. Depending on how many students want to join, I could cover as much as $20 for your membership. Does that make sense? So
yes,
that's why you're not actually going to go to the website tonight, is because I need to know how many people are interested in this so that I can prepay the organization so that they know what to put like in your bank. When you go to register and they give you that little code, they will need to know how much do I give per student.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, like part of it does, and then the other half, I'm still
Well, let me
but
let me put it in numbers that might help you understand, Jakara. The most that you would be paying is $15 per year. It's for your yearly membership. The
All right.
least amount of money that you would be paying is $0.
Yeah.
It depends on how many people, how much money I'm dividing by. I just want to make it
Okay. I understand that part. It was when you were talking about the code and then okay. That information probably wasn't for me. I'm sorry.
No, that is for you, Jakara.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It is. So with Educators Rising, the national organization that we actually register with, when you normally would register, it gets to a point after you put in your name and your address and all that stuff and your university and everything, there gets to a point where it says pay membership. At that point, you would have to put in your debit or credit card for $25 a year. Well, I am going to pay the plan is I've been talking with the organization using some of my funding that I have. I want to pay for some of the membership fee ahead of time for y'all. Well, in order to do that, I'm going to give them a check and say, okay, these people are going to get $10 off. So you would put a code in at that point, kind of like a voucher, voucher. And then depending on how many people are going to use that voucher, then you might pay $15, you might pay $0. It depends on how many total people want to join Educators Rising.
Okay. And one other question I had, it was about the DC thing. So is that for like when we would go to compete there? Is that what that's for?
Well, if you want to compete at the national conference, you have to compete at the state conference and qualify in the top two, I think, the top two in the state. So in order to compete at national, the requirements are you must be an active member of a local chapter, which if you join, then you are. And then you must be in the top two at your state convention.
Whoa.
And the state convention is in March in Lafayette.
Okay. Will you send us like a picture or list of dates like for everything?
Yes. And actually, Jakara, I saw that you came in a little bit late on the meeting. I'm actually recording it. So you're going to get this recording. If you join the group me, you'll get this recording. You're going to get our schedule of events. You're going to get what else? Yeah, both of those things, those two things.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
I can go ahead and send the schedule in the group me for anyone who wants it.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. And Maria, you could actually probably drop it in the chat too. I can't get off. Let me see. I could stop sharing now because I don't think anybody needs it. Are any of you guys monitoring the chat for questions? What I've missed so far?
I'm gonna have to go back and read the chat for questions because I got in here late.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Having a little trouble with our group me.
Yeah, we're getting it. We're getting there. Trying to find ways to send the link.
The kinks worked out.
I added Ashlyn just manually. If it's not working any other way, y'all can DM me your number and I can add you in manually.
Thanks, Maria. Very helpful.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. Callie, I miss you.
Hello.
I
I miss you too.
And I saw Eula. She's probably at one of her 20 jobs. I miss you guys. Makes me want to cry. And Lorraine, I see Lorraine Sealing up there. Hey, I miss you guys. I miss y'all. Well, I hope this has been helpful. Again, we are going to send, if you got in a little bit late, don't worry. We're going to send the schedule in the group me. We're going to send the recording. Give me about 30 minutes because it takes me about 30 minutes to render the recording and be able to put it in a shareable format for you. So and then we can also send the PowerPoint as well. I think if we do that, we'll also probably me and Maria, I'm keeping track of this. I should also probably send the link to the Lafayette conference and the link to the Washington, D.C. conference as well. I'll send both of those links as well so that you guys can make an informed decision about, how you feel about that. And if either of those is even something that you could do at this point. And if you can't remember, you could do it next year as well. So gives us something to plan for and look forward to. So that's okay. Well, all right. It was wonderful to see all of you and meet you. And I'm probably about to cry because I'm so excited. You do these things and you just don't know if anybody's going to show up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, you know what I mean. I know, it's kind of like when you send out the birthday party invitations, it's kind of like, is anybody going to come? And then when you start seeing all the faces, you're like, yay, this is awesome. We can do something. We can really make a change and we can make a difference. And it's just cool. It's really cool. Even if you decide not to join, it's just nice to know that you showed up and showed that you cared. So it's really cool. So, well, all right, you guys, I'm going to stay on for anybody who has additional questions. Feel free. I'm going to stay on. I'm actually going to go ahead and stop the recording though.